We're back to finish off Volume 1 of Teachings for Victory, the very last section, the very last segment of the 3 Kinds of Treasure, Part 3. Okay, and we'll be finished with this. And I had told you that the next one that we were going to do was going to be the true aspect of all phenomena. I'm going to save that for last after we get through these. The bottom line is that the next Teachings for Victory book, or unless somebody can tell me that there's a number 6, this is the last one that I'm aware of that's been published so far. Okay? And we won't go to this next. Okay, so anybody that hasn't gotten it yet, you still have time to try and obtain it. Okay? But we'll be going to On Attaining Buddhahood in This Lifetime, which these are the same 2 lectures. It's sort of like the opening of the eyes. Remember the yellow book, and then the one that's like this size. They're the same text. But this also has the study department preliminary commentary. It's not from President Ikeda, but it's certainly from people that have learned from President Ikeda. Thank you, dear. And I'll be using this as an intro and then going into this Go-Show next time we get together. In the meantime, after we finish tonight, I'm going to take a break because I haven't been well. This is like last week was the 3rd week out of 4 that I got sick on Thursday. So I'm going to wait until I get my flu shot, which is supposed to be the 1st week of October is when we can get it, so I can nail that down. And it's a 2-way thing. I don't want to be contagious. I don't want to be sick either. Okay, so, and I could use a break. All right? So we'll take probably only a 1-week break. Depends on whether I can get in the hospital as an old dude and be first in line, like I was able to the last 2 years. That really helped me a lot. Starting to get flu shots. I don't know if you guys get them.
No.
Boy, they will cut down on the amount you're sick.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. My life changed once I started getting flu shots as a regular thing every year. Okay, so I encourage everybody, especially with COVID right now worldwide, I'm talking to people not just around the table but everywhere, if you can get a flu shot, do it. All right? And be ever mindful of the fact that there are airborne transmission bad shit that will screw you up. I almost used the F word. Avoid it if you can. Okay, use your wisdom to protect yourself. All right? So we continue on page, the section, this is part 12. There were 4 Go-Shos in this, and there are 3 parts each. So we're not going to read this as we've read the Go-Sho already, and we're going to read each section as he covers in this part of the lecture. So skip page 189 and 190. Let's start on page 191. Okay, the 3 Kinds of Treasure, part 3 lecture. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. The treasures of the heart are the most valuable of all. Nichiren Daishonin says, strive to accumulate the treasures of the heart. This is a message he imparted to his embattled disciple Shijo Kingo. It contains the most vital key for winning in life. So, what has he already told you then by making that statement? What do we know about this Go-Sho that he could say that this contains the most vital key for winning in life? What is the point of this Go-Sho again?
Faith.
That was the first answer last week too, and I said a little more specifically. It's our behavior as a human being, and that genuinely is the key for winning in life. Okay, because that determines your actions. That determines the basis of your life condition and what you're striving for every day, right? Nobody's going to be perfect every day, but as long as we seek that to the Gohonzon, that prayer is instilled whether or not we are able to deal with the devilish functions to maintain it. 2 weeks ago when we started this, I said I'm going to devote this Go-Sho to my wife. I was really talking about my pissy attitude, my temper. I have a temper like Shijo Kingo, actually, frankly, whether you're aware of that or not. I can be, impossible. So it's not easy. I had business things that just pissed me off to the max in the last week, and I let my temper get the better of me a couple of times. So I'm going to keep trying. I hope you're all encouraged to continue to try as well. All right, so starting again. The treasures of the heart are the most valuable of all. What are treasures of the heart? What are treasures of the heart? What are the three kinds of treasure? Okay. Translate it in your mind. Treasure of the storehouse, right? Which is physical shit like, wealth or, cool stuff. All right. Treasures of the body, right?
Yeah.
Okay, which is what I'm trying to get some more of. And then treasures of the heart. Treasures of the heart are really are the experiences we have from the result of faith. All right? They're the experiences that allow us to have mugi-washi and doubt-free faith, because we've actually experienced the power and empowerment in our life from our daimoku, okay, that sees us through a time when we were really challenged and we were putting ourselves out there to the Gohonzon and chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo for a result. We saw the power, we saw the result, we saw the power and influence of our own life. Because that just doesn't come out of thin air. That comes from you. It's to discover the Gohonzon inside our lives as the center and focus of where we want to take everyone that we meet. All right? Help open up that same reality for them. And to have something to show them that validates that it's there as we've discovered it ourselves. Okay, so the treasures of the heart are the most valuable of all, Nichiren Daishonin says. Strive to accumulate the treasures of the heart, which is what we really should be striving. If you're talking about benefits, benefits can result in this treasure of the heart based on the benefit being about seeing victory in faith versus getting something. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the message he imparted to his embattled disciple Shijo Kingo. It contains the most vital key for winning in life. Remember, the most vital key is your behavior, because what's that create? Your freaking karma.
Yes.
Okay? It's really elemental. Okay? How you behave and where you're coming from will be reflected in your daily life. Okay? If you've got you're turned off or turned in neutral and you're just going through the motions, you'll get going through the motions life condition, and going through the motions actual proof, and going through the motions treasure of the heart. Those aren't really treasures of the heart. Okay? Treasures of the heart are victories. Okay? Going through the motions isn't a victory. That's neutral. There's three kinds of karma, right? Do you know what three kinds of karma there are? Positive, negative, and neutral.
Yes.
Okay, don't forget, there's neutral. We make new causes that don't really take us forward or backwards. They just sustain us. Okay? We want to go for the things that take us forward. Understand? All right, so the heart is our unsurpassed treasure in life. It is endowed with tremendous potential and supreme nobility. Its depth and breadth can be expanded infinitely, and its strength can be developed without bounds. So what is really the treasure of the heart? It's our Buddha nature. Okay, that's what we're actually bringing forth and magnifying. He says, the French author Victor Hugo wrote, "There is a spectacle greater than the sea, and that is the sky. There is a spectacle greater than the sky, and that is the human soul." How can we expand the inner realm of our lives, develop our inner strength, and accumulate treasures of the heart so that we can lead better lives? The answer is found in practicing the mystic law. Not just believing in it or going to meetings or listening to somebody talk about it or read a go show. It's about actually practicing. Okay, so this is what you're doing day in, day out. You know, this is fundamentally where you're coming from when you wake up in the morning and where you're coming from when you go to bed at night. In the latter part of this writing, the three kinds of treasure, Nichiren teaches that the treasures of the heart are the most valuable of all. Why? Why are the treasures of the heart more valuable than treasures of the storehouse or treasures of the body? This is very fundamental for you to understand. Do you have any idea why? Okay, what would logically be the reason? Treasures of the storehouse. Do they go on to your next life? No, you can't take it with you. Okay? Can you take your body, your physical form? No, it's constantly changing and morphing and decaying from the time you're born, right? But the treasures of the heart are your Buddha, it's your Buddha nature. It's your accumulated result, okay, that does continue to manifest in each lifetime. He says the ultimate treasure in terms of achieving genuine victory in life is our Buddha nature manifesting from within through faith in the mystic law. That's what I was just talking about, right? That's what I just said. We must never lose sight of this crucial teaching. 2 months before this letter was written, Shijo Kingo faced the grave crisis of having his estate confiscated by his lord Emma Mitsutoki. Kingo chose to uphold his faith in the Lotus Sutra, even if it meant losing his estate. And I mentioned it again last week. Why was he going to lose his estate? Why was Emma pissed at him? I wonder sometimes if you guys are actually here every week.
Because he didn't.
Because he shakubuku'd him.
Yes.
Because he told him about the Daishonin's teachings and tried to encourage him to embrace them and ditch the ryokan thing, because he was a ryokan dude, okay? So, again, Kingo chose to uphold his faith in the Lotus Sutra, even if it meant losing his estate, which means he wouldn't back down when Emma threatened him for having found out that he was doing this Nichiren stuff, this Nam-myoho Renge-kyo stuff. Dude, you're weird. The Daishonin praised him for his stance and offered this caution: however wretched a beggar you might become, never disgrace the Lotus Sutra. That's from the Gosho, a warning against begrudging one's fief. Okay? In fact, these words are meant to teach Kingo the essential criteria he should follow as a practitioner. There's that caveat again. As a practitioner, not just as somebody who believes or goes to discussion meetings. We have to be practitioners. He says again, in fact, these words are meant to teach Kingo the essential criteria he should follow as a practitioner. That faith, a treasure of the heart, is far more important than his estate, a treasure of the storehouse, or his position as a samurai, a treasure of the body. And indeed, when Kingo practiced in accord with this guidance, putting faith first, his adverse situation began to brighten. Being called on to treat his lord's illness, he regained the latter's favor. Also, those who had harassed and attacked Kingo experienced negative consequences, which again, everybody that screws with you will have their head split in 7 pieces. If you want to wait long enough, I guarantee you the people that screw with us as practitioners don't win. It may seem at the moment when they're screwing with us that they're winning. But if you watch their lives, there will be a karmic retribution. I've had people I won't even get into it. Bad things that happen to people that have slandered me, frankly speaking. So he says, again, also those who had harassed and attacked Kingo experienced negative consequences. Why would they experience negative consequences if they're the ones that have harassed you and attacked you? Because you're the Buddha, and that's a slander for them to do that, frankly. Understand that. That's who you really are. You got to look at yourself that way. Every week I read this over and over and over again, and I'm not sure everybody understands that that's really the point of everything we're discussing, is to realize the Buddha nature that literally actually exists in our lives. It's not a theoretical construct if we make it so. All right? He says, in the 3 kinds of treasure, I've stopped short. He said, also those who had harassed and attacked Kingo experienced negative consequences in accord with the strict law of cause and effect. You slander a Buddha, you definitely have created slander that will not result in happiness or reward. All right? In the 3 kinds of treasure, Nichiren praises his disciples' faith, explaining that Kingo could take the first step toward victory based on the principle of manifesting the Buddha nature from within and bringing forth protection from without. Okay, so where does the protection come from? Does it come from? No, it comes from inside. All right, and it's expressed outwardly. but it doesn't come from out and is bestowed upon you. Okay, so there's nobody listening to that prayer. It's all predicated on you taking action. This is your causal relationship with the law. You're a bodhisattva of the earth. You've got a pre-existing relationship, okay, that goes beyond what you may remember or have access to in the absence of faith. Faith is what brings out this and manifests it. The moment Kingo stood up with unwavering faith, and he qualifies it again, he's a practitioner. He's got to stand up with conviction, not with fear. Okay? His inner Buddha nature manifested. So, what's it say? He says it was his inner Buddha nature that manifested and protected him. All right? Quite frankly. So, the moment Kingo stood up with unwavering faith, his inner Buddha nature manifested. This activated the heavenly deities, the benevolent functions of the universe, and resulted in external protection in the form of Emma's renewed reliance on Kingo. But in reality, he formulated his karma. This is a causal circumstance, all right? When we talk about the benevolent functions of the universe, what is that? That's causality. That's the universal reality that everything is connected, that nothing is separated. Okay? There's no power in the universe that's greater than the power that exists in a single life. That power of a single life is the same power that makes everything else happen. Everything happens for the same reason. It's the law of causality through the three realms. The benevolent functions of the universe and resulted in external protection in the form of Emma's renewed reliance on Kingo. But Kingo still found himself in a rather hostile environment. Nichiren offers a variety of detailed instructions and advice to help Kingo solidify his victories achieved thus far. He urged his disciple to remain vigilant against attack, to interact courteously and sincerely with others, and to foster good relations with his brothers and fellow practitioners to make them his allies. The Daishonin also warns Kingo to keep a tight rein on his short temper, sternly pointing out that if he succumbs to an outburst, it could cause a serious rift in his relationships and destroy all his positive progress. Okay? Because everything around you is a reflection of you. Do understand that as well. You know, you're not a helpless, tossed about the sea in a boat kind of an entity. Okay? When you bring forth your true identity, you are very, very powerful, and everything is connected to you. Even your fortune in relationship to other people. To achieve unshakable victory, we need to challenge ourselves in earnest to change our karma. So what did that just say?
Doing the human revolution.
Yeah, doing human revolution, but to what end?
To the end.
Yeah, to the end. By the way, my wingman's here tonight again. Thank you, Madame Anique. Again, when he says to achieve unshakable victory, we need to challenge ourselves in earnest to change our karma. If we're challenging ourselves in earnest to change our karma, we're accepting the responsibility that what we're experiencing is ours. Right? It isn't something that got laid on us or we're being shit on and it's all sucks. Okay? This is there for us to defeat. This is for us to pluck a victory from. Yeah, every damn day. It doesn't ever stop, does it? It gets kind of old, but it's the reality of the life of the Bodhisattva of the earth. And forever, ever demonstrating the validity of the power of the law through manifesting it in their own life. So if you don't look at it from the perspective of realizing that it's you, you're not going to focus on what really needs to change, which is you. Okay? It's not the other guy. The other guy is reflecting you. The circumstance is reflecting you. The environment is reflecting you. There's no separation between you and that circumstance. So since you have no control over those outward things, control the part that you can control. He's going to say here later again, that famous thing, don't let your mind master you. You be the master of your mind, right? So This is also the practice of human revolution, because that's what occurs when you face that reality that this is all a reflection of me and take on the challenge to defeat all devilish functions and manifest Buddhahood in your life. This is also the practice of human revolution, in which we strive to break through our inner darkness or ignorance, which is what? Telling us we're just helpless little common mortals. Please help me, somebody help me. Okay, and instead stand up as the person that we are. All right, a bodhisattva of the earth. Carelessness is the greatest enemy. If we allow ourselves to grow complacent and lose our fighting spirit, then the shortcomings or negative tendencies that arise from our fundamental darkness will resurface. For that reason, the Daishonin consistently emphasizes the point that faith is life's ultimate treasure. Because what does faith do? Just make us believe?
No, it helps us attain Buddhahood.
Yes, but how? But what is the actual? What's the actual? What does the? Okay. The Daishonin consistently emphasizes the point that faith is life's ultimate treasure. What is faith really, though? Faith is doubt-free faith in the object of devotion and our relationship to it. And putting this in a different context, everything that we experience, in a different context from the lesser self to the greater self. Instead of looking at our little microcosm issue as it relates to a life challenge, to realize that every one of these victories is contributing to Kosen Rufu, widespread propagation. Do the bodhisattvas of the earth come just to live happy lives? No, they come to convert others through being the living examples of what they have up their sleeve, what they were brought into this world with, why they are who they are, why they have this thing that we call faith. Because faith does not exist unless it leads you back to chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to the Gohonzon. Otherwise, faith is happy talk. Faith is the understanding and the instinct to always return to the prime point. All right? In this installment, let us once more study Nichiren's teachings that the treasures of the heart are the most valuable of all. Continuing on page 192, first column. Always return to the prime point of the oneness of mentor and disciple. What is that talking about? What I just said. That faith taking us back to the prime point of chanting Daimoku to the Gohonzon. That is the ultimate principle of the oneness of mentor and disciple. Do you understand? That's where we really manifest the oneness of mentor and disciple, is when our life and the Gohonzon become the same thing. And in that process, we bring forth or become manifest the Gohonzon that is really the true reality. All right? He says, over from the Gosho, page 192, first column, bottom part. Over and over, I recall the moment, unforgettable even now, when I was about to be beheaded, and you accompanied me, holding the reins of my horse and weeping tears of grief. Nor could I ever forget it in any lifetime to come. If you should fall into hell for some grave offense, no matter how Shakyamuni Buddha might urge me to become a Buddha, I would refuse. I would rather go to hell with you. For if you and I should fall into hell together, we would find Shakyamuni Buddha and the Lotus Sutra there. But if you depart from my advice, even slightly, do not blame me for what may happen. Pretty strict. If you become deadlocked, return to the prime point. This was the guidance of the first president, the first Soka Gakkai president, Tanesaburo Makaguchi. What did I just explain to you is the prime point? What is the prime point?
To go back to the Gohonzon.
Go back to the Gohonzon and chant sincere Daimoku as a bodhisattva of the earth, to kick these devils' ass for the right reason, which is to prove the validity of your faith for others to see. Okay? When you do that, you just supercharge the power of that prayer. Okay? If you're going back, oh, help me, clean my ass, clean my shit up. I don't want to suffer this. That's not the same thing as being Shijo Kingo. I mean, there's to me, there's some sort of like a karmic reason why Kingo's there. He's a samurai, okay? He's got that kind of character that we'd all love to have. We see it in the movies, right? That's the hero. That's the hero of every
Want to
movie
be
is
the
Shijo
hero.
Kingo, frankly. That kind of dude is absolutely fearless and a badass. That's why I keep saying all the time, we're all badasses. When we release that from our lives, we become as powerful as anything that exists in the universe. Okay? There's no Buddhist God that got anything on a bodhisattva of the earth. Do understand that. All right? They're a reflection of you. Yeah. Yeah. They serve you. Okay? You don't serve them. Do understand that. If you become deadlocked, return to the prime point. This was the guidance of First Soka Gakkai President Tetsuburo Makaguchi. The Lotus Sutra is based on the spirit of the oneness of mentor and disciple. And again, he's not talking about himself. All of us are teachers. All of us can be mentors. But the mentor-disciple relationship that is constantly emphasized in his writings is the oneness of mentor and disciple that is the prime point. Okay? Nichiren Buddhism, too, is a teaching of mentor and disciple. That you and the Gohonzon are inseparable. That's the teaching of Nichiren Buddhism. Our prime point as practitioners, and he qualifies again, as practitioners, not just happy talk, go to meetings, casual believers. All right. Our prime point as practitioners, therefore, is our vow to struggle together with our mentor. What is that talking about? What is that vow? That vow is the vow of the bodhisattva of the earth, okay? Now you're no longer the identity that you were born into this world with. We're talking about your original identity, your true identity, all right? So our prime point as practitioners, therefore, is our vow to struggle together with our mentor, to strive for Kosen Rufu with our very lives, to not begrudge our lives. If we constantly return to this prime point of mentor and disciple, the oneness of you and the Gohonzon, we will never become deadlocked. Never, ever, ever. Miracles happen. Weird shit that allows you to have doubt-free faith will occur in your life to see you through to the next challenge, okay, that you can build on and build on and build on and share with others. In this passage, he continues on the second column of 192. In this passage, Nichiren Daishonin reaffirms the incident that became the prime point in his relationship with Shijo Kingo, his mentor and disciple. It took place during the Tatsunokuchi persecution. As Nichiren was taken to the execution grounds, Kingo gripped the reins of his mentor's horse and declared that he was prepared to die at his side. Now, could that have happened had Nichiren Daishonin not had to face the challenge of the Tatsunokuchi persecution? Would there have been some great reward to have avoided the Tatsunokuchi persecution by not pissing off the people that were taking him to cut his head off as a result of what he was doing? There was a ridiculous statement made this week. I don't know if anybody saw it. I'll go into it next time we talk. But again, understand, I'll read that last paragraph, that second from the last paragraph again. In this passage, Nichiren Daishonin reaffirms the incident that became the prime point in his relationship with Shijo Kingo as mentor and disciple. It took place during the Tatsunokuchi persecution. As Nichiren was taken to the execution grounds, Kingo gripped the reins of his mentor's horse and declared that he was prepared to die at his side. Now, in doing that, what did he just reveal? He's definitely a bodhisattva of the earth. He's definitely a Buddha. That's not begrudging your life literally. Do you understand? All right. So, could he have done that had this circumstance not occurred? No. Okay, so you don't look at the immediate circumstance as the end result or the essence of the experience.
Right.
All right? Everything is building toward something greater if this whole concept of Kosen Rufu is real. We don't go downhill, we go uphill. That's why it's harder. We're not going downhill, we're going uphill. We're elevating. Okay? You ever seen a bird fly? it has to pump its wings harder to get higher. Okay? It doesn't soar until it's already achieved altitude. Do you understand?
Right.
Okay. So, in praise of the faith that Kingo showed at that time, the Daishonin goes so far as to say, if you should fall into hell for some grave offense, no matter how Shakyamuni Buddha might urge me to become a Buddha, I would refuse. I would rather go to hell with you. We find the essence of his humanistic teaching in this spirit to respond to the sincere devotion of his disciples. If the Daishonin and Kingo, mentor and disciple, upholding steadfast faith in the mystic law, were to fall into hell, then Shakyamuni Buddha in the Lotus Sutra would also definitely be found there. In that case, Nichiren explains it would no longer be hell, but rather the realm of Buddhahood. Why? Are hell and Buddhahood separate places? Separate? No. They all could, it's flips. You know? There's the 10th world and the first world, first world. The 10 exist within the other 10. This is the principle that hell can instantly be transformed into the land of tranquil light, which is the lesson of our suffering through the correct endeavor can instantly transform into something that is awe-inspiring and brings us great joy. And actually creates an opportunity for us to share a wisdom that we couldn't otherwise with others to help them achieve and experience the same thing when they have the guts to go through with that kind of doubt-free faith. Okay? We can manifest, because that's what Buddhas do. They're the living example of the potential everyone has. We can manifest the brilliance of the world of Buddhahood anywhere. This is the teaching of Nichiren Buddhism. So it's not circumstantial based on who we are, where we live, how good looking we are, whatever. Anybody, any human being, that's why they're all worthy of respect, equal respect, because everyone has this potential. Our first two presidents, Tetsuburo Makaguchi and Josei Toda, united by the bonds of mentor and disciple, demonstrated this with their own lives. In a prison cell that he described as cold to the extreme, Mr. Makaguchi wrote, depending on one's frame of mind, even hell can be enjoyable. And Mr. Toda accompanied him to prison, remarked, even if I should fall into hell, it wouldn't matter to me in the least. I would simply share the correct teaching with the inhabitants there and turn it into the land of tranquil light. Joe wrote, like your husband is right now. This spirit is the very quintessence of faith in Nichiren Buddhism. So it's this spirit which is really the carrying out and the living of this vow. Okay, it's a mindset. Do you understand? Everybody's with me? Do you understand what I just said? All right. So, as long as Kingo, at the bottom of the first column, page 193, as long as Kingo doesn't lose sight of this spirit to struggle together with Nichiren, he can triumph in any place and situation based on the principle that hell itself can instantly be transformed into the land of tranquil light. Okay? Let me just repeat this, though, again, since I repeat so much. As long as Kingo doesn't lose sight of this spirit to struggle together with Nichiren, isn't that what we're doing when we return to the prime point? Aren't we struggling in our daily life to overcome something with the original mentor in the form of the Gohonzon as we chant the Daimoku of the Bodhisattva of the earth? That's exactly what we do. What he's talking about Shijo Kingo did and why he was able to accomplish what he accomplished, it's exactly the same for us. All of these gosho, all of these memorialized stories are stories of human beings just like us, not greater than us, not different than us. Okay? That's why we can accomplish the same victories as the Soka Gakkai has proven over the 70 years it's been around. Okay? So, as long as Kingo doesn't lose sight of this spirit, as long as he doesn't lose the spirit of doubt-free faith, to struggle together with Nichiren, to struggle together with the original mentor, to be a disciple and to express with your life what the mentor has taught you through his teaching. He can triumph in any place and situation based on the principle that hell itself can instantly be transformed to the land of tranquil light. We can turn defeat into victory every time. But if he is defeated by his own weaknesses, when we start wimping out, when we start second guessing, when we start wondering, why in the hell is this happening to me? I've been doing Gongyo. You know, why is this happening to me? I chant. I went to some meetings. I tried to Shakubuku my friend. It's because this doesn't happen because you did something wrong. This happens because you're doing things correctly. Understand. This is the manifestation of fundamental darkness that tries to keep you from tipping over the edge and actually becoming a Buddha in your present form, rather than leaving that as a theoretical thing for people to ponder and never actually accomplish. You show with your life as a common mortal, as a regular human being, how to be the Buddha. You are the Buddha. That's how you live. That's how you look at yourself. He says, but if he is defeated by his own weakness, losing his temper and lacking consideration for those around him, he will veer from the path of oneness and mentor. If he loses the respect for others. This is why Nichiren repeatedly warns him to be careful. His behavior is really the thing, that the element that's holding all this together. He writes, if you depart from my advice even slightly, do not blame me for what happens, because you haven't listened and you know, committed yourself to that stream of action to the very end. The key to victory lies in aligning our hearts with the heart of our mentor, who faithfully embodies and propagates the law. If we ignore our mentor's guidance and simply base ourselves on our own vacillating minds, which is what happens when we don't go back to the prime point, those devilish functions start to mess with us. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you somebody that's not locked into the Gohonzon. That's all it is. You're not chanting, okay? Okay, because you're so freaking smart, you're going to figure it out on your own. You're going to find an easier solution than sitting down and chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. We do it. We vacillate. We try everything before we do the right thing. We cannot complete the arduous path of Buddhist practice. So if we keep doing that, we'll eventually quit practicing, because we won't win. You know, we're supposed to chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and win, right? But if we don't do the right thing, we can chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and not find that result strongly enough that it actually changes our karma. He says, a sutra states, become the master of your mind rather than let your mind master you. We just read it from the letter of brothers. Only, he says, now he begins that sentence with only, right? So only when we practice faith in the same spirit as our mentor can we truly become the master of our minds and attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. And that's why we study the Gosho. And that's why we chant Daimoku, to fortify that life condition that keeps us locked in. Continuing on page 193, lamenting over our problems slows our spiritual development. What's lamenting? Complaining, wondering why me, poor me, I don't deserve this. Rather than looking at it as, oh shit, I get to prove the power of the law again. I'm a badass. I must really be trusted. The Gohonzon must really trust me. That's the way I view it. Okay? It's a whole different way of perspective. Do not go around lamenting to others how hard it is for you to live in this world. To do so is an act utterly unbecoming to a worthy man. Here, Nichiren Daishonin especially admonishes against lamentation and self-pity. This passage gets at the heart of people's readiness to bewail matters that are beyond their control, to bewail matters that are beyond their control. Everyone is susceptible to doing this. So did Daisaku Ikeda exclude himself from that? No, we're all human beings. We all live in the Sahe world. We're all ninth world entities bringing forth the 10th when we do the right thing. Okay? So everyone is susceptible to doing this. So does this make you a terrible person if you do this? No, this makes you an ordinary person. That's the point. Do you want to be an ordinary or extraordinary? Ordinary is a common mortal. Extraordinary is a Buddha. I'd prefer to be a Buddha. Even Kingo, who was prepared to lay down his life alongside Nichiren at a crucial moment, had trouble with human relations because of his rigidity and single-mindedness. Don't forget, he's already done all this great good shit, and he's still having to be told, watch your temper. He may have given in to complaining in spite of himself. In advising Kingo not to lament to others, the Daishonin underscores that complaining about one's troubles or misfortunes is the way of life of the foolish, not the wise, because they're not seeing the truth. They're seeing a delusion that's being created by their own mind, that there's something outside of themselves. Okay? Correct thinking, you know it's all coming from you. He writes, if a man behaves in this way, then after he dies, I love this part. If a man behaves, and you better not. If a man behaves in this way, then after he dies, his wife, overcome with sorrow at losing her husband, will tell other people about the shameful things he did. You better not. Though she really has no intention of doing so, because he made the karma for it to come out. All right? And that will be in no way her fault, but solely the result of his own reprehensible behavior. Okay? So he says, complaining nurtures one's inner weakness and negativity and becomes a cause for stagnation. Here, Nichiren teaches Kingo that doing away with complaint and instead pursuing his own human revolution head-on is the sure path to victory in life. And what is this pursuing his own human revolution head-on? What does that really consist of? Accepting everything that happens to you, understanding yourself as a bodhisattva of the earth, perceiving the truth that if that's the case, it's not happening because you're such a terrible person, but because you have a mission to defeat it, and making the vow that God, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Okay? That's the, instead pursuing his own human revolution head on. That attitude. Make the Gohonzon show you that it's real. Make your own life prove to you that you have that power within it. Only you can do that. You can't get it from reading shit. You can only get it from being it. Become a true winner in life, he says at the top of page 194, second column. From the Gosho, it is rare to be born a human being. The number of those endowed with human life is as small as the amount of earth one can place on a fingernail. Life as a human being is hard to sustain, as hard as it is for the dew to remain on the grass. But it is better to live a single day with honor than to live to 120 and die in disgrace. Live so that the people of Kamakura will say in your praise that Nakatsukasa Saburo Semanojo Shijo Kingo is diligent in his service to his Lord, in the service of Buddhism, and in his concern for other people. Be the Buddha in your present form is what that just said. It is rare for, continuing the lecture, middle of second column 194, it is rare to be born a human being. The number of those born with human life is as small as the amount of earth one can place on a fingernail. In addition, again, think about all the life that exists in this environment because they're inseparable. The life only exists because of this environment. All right, the environment is what supports and actually attracts the life to become manifest in it. But think about how much we are outnumbered by other life forms on this planet Earth that we think we own. It's a bazillion to one. Life itself is plentiful. Life as a human being is very precious and rare. That's what he's saying, and be aware of that. Okay? Nichiren Daishonin thus indicates how irreplaceable our lives as human beings are and how precious every single day and moment is, because we're the ones that turn the Sahe world into the land of eternally tranquil life. Right? It's not the bugs or the trees or the rain or the mosquitoes, right? It's only human beings that manifest this change in all things based on our behavior. It is better to live a single day with honor than to live to 120 and die in disgrace. Nichiren declares, highlighting the criterion for true merit in life. Our true merit as human beings arises from what we decide, our true merit as human beings arises from what we decide to make the purpose of our lives and how we go about achieving it. All right? You're with me, right? It's all about action, action, action. It's got nothing to do with belief. Faith is reality. Faith is moving forward. Faith is manifesting the Buddha nature. Nichiren offers this specific guidance to his disciple out of a wish for him to succeed on a fundamental level. Live so that all the people of Kamakura will say in your praise that Nakatsukasa Saburo Seimenojo is diligent in the service of his Lord, in the service of Buddhism, and in his concern for other people. It implies three particular areas in which Kingo needs to be victorious. Rebuilding a relationship of mutual trust with his Lord, continuing to make unwavering efforts as a practitioner of the mystic law, and winning the trust of those around him. The treasures of the heart will shine in all these endeavors. In other words, we are truly victorious when we bring forth the brilliance of our Buddha nature in all aspects of our lives. Okay? It's not about getting the better part of a deal. It really does boil down to our behavior as human beings. Nichiren further teaches us to show actual proof of victory by striving to live in a way that wins the praise and admiration of those around us. This offers an important guideline as to what constitutes victory for a Buddhist. Okay? In short, fundamental victory derives from the inner brilliance of our humanity that naturally draws others' admiration. It could also be said that an important part of our struggle for Kosarufu is for each of us to win such trust and respect in society. So it's going to have to do with your behavior as a human being, right? Not how much money you got. That's just treasures of the storehouse. There's a bunch of rich people that don't have faith. Or treasures of the body. There's a bunch of people that have gorgeous bodies. Okay, but the treasures of the heart we're talking about, only Buddhists have access to.
Yeah.
All right? So the power of our humanity as Buddhists ultimately inspires praise. In other words, the treasures of the heart we have cultivated are what win us people's trust and high regard for our exemplary character. Our Buddha nature manifests as the brilliance of our humanity and touches the hearts of even those who do not practice Nichiren Buddhism. There's something different about those people, a special glow about SGI members, people will think. Gaining such trust from others is definite, actual proof of the power of our Buddhist practice. Shijo Kingo's relations with those around him, with Lord Emma and the members of his Lord's family, and with his own colleagues, brothers, and fellow practitioners, were far from smooth. There were probably instances when his doggedness created problems. Without resolving such issues, he could not become a winner in faith. That's why Nichiren urges him to constantly work on polishing his character and show actual proof by realizing a great human revolution. So what did that sentence just say? He's talking about what Nichiren has urged Shijo Kingo to do, but what is it saying to us?
To do the same.
Yeah, what he's saying is that he urges him to constantly work on polishing his character. Okay, so polishing is what? Is that a process of a single rub?
No.
No, it's a rub, 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 and a rub, 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 and a rub, 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 rub. It's continual. Okay, so polishing is a daily function of improving our character as human beings. Now, I'm almost embarrassed to talk about character being who I am, frankly. Okay? But it is possible because I've reformed my own character during the course of my lifetime. Okay? So I'm not so embarrassed to say that because without really meaning to, by having doubt-free faith and pursuing my own Buddhahood, it happened naturally. My mind transformed. I don't know how to explain to you. I don't think like I used to think anymore. I don't behave like I used to behave anymore. Okay? I see the error of the manner in which I behaved in the past. But I still got a temper. All right? So I got more polishing to do. Right? We all do. Okay? So that's why Nichiren urges him to constantly is the word he uses, work on polishing his character, and through that show actual proof by realizing a great human revolution, by going through a transformation that expresses a change. Okay? It was his wish that Kingo, as the central figure among his followers in Kamakura, would develop into an admirable leader in society and lead a life of profound significance and meaning. This compassionate spirit was no doubt behind the Daishonin's guidance, encouraging him to win the praise of the people in Kamakura. You're all with me?
Yes.
Bottom of page 195, second column. A thoroughly polished character is priceless. Why? A thoroughly polished character is Buddha. Yeah. And Buddhahood is priceless. Okay, more valuable than treasures in a storehouse are treasures of the body, and the treasures of the heart are the most valuable of all. For the time you read this letter on, strive to accumulate the treasures of the heart. The above passage is the most well known in this writing. Treasures in a storehouse indicates material assets. Treasures of the body means such things as health or acquired skills. Treasures of the heart on one level means an inner richness, wealth, or abundance. On a more fundamental level, it means faith and the brilliance of the Buddha nature, polished through faith. In this passage, Nichiren indicates the order of priority of the three kinds of treasure and sets forth a clear standard of value. Kingo faced the possibility of losing his estate, which of course represented an extremely important source of income for him and his family. But the Daishonin insists that far more valuable than the treasures of the storehouse and the body are the treasures of the heart. This accumulation of these inner treasures, he says, is the basis for all victory, because that's what makes you the Buddha. All right? All right. The fact that Kingo had been challenging his situation based on faith in the mystic law corresponds to placing the highest value on the treasures of the heart. That's really what we should be seeking more than the other stuff. Benefits. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. And I'm not putting down benefits because that's what leads us to the point where we can finally grasp what's more important. We go from childhood and adolescence to become adults in faith. All right? He's saying, as a result, he had been victorious so far. That is probably why Nichiren clarifies this point as a universal, universal, what's that mean? Applicable to everything, okay, an unchanging guideline. In other words, this guidance and this basis of victory never will deviate. It will never change and morph into something else. It will always be this process of accumulating treasures of the heart and transforming your identity as who you are naturally, just based on the mystic law. As a result, he had been victorious so far. I'm rereading. That is probably why Nichiren clarifies this point as a universal and unchanging guideline for victory in all areas of life. And actually, when we base ourselves on the treasures of the heart, the true value and worth of treasures of the storehouse and the body also become apparent in our lives. In short, we need to make accumulating the treasures of the heart our fundamental purpose in life. because it will lead to treasures of the body. You can extend your life and overcome illness and weird shit, okay, when you become the Buddha. And treasures of the storehouse, goes without saying, all right? So if we lose sight of this elemental objective, seeking merely to accumulate treasures of the storehouse and treasures of the body, just seeking benefits, all right, it will only give rise to attachment, which means whenever we have problems that affect our body or our storehouse benefits, we begin to doubt faith. Okay? We begin to doubt the teaching. We begin to doubt who we really are. Fear of losing such material or physical treasures, then, at the top of the second column of page 196, can then become a cause of suffering. Trust me, I cried a lot of tears over that. Therefore, seriously, a lot of tears. I lost a lot of freaking money. Someday I'll tell you guys the truth about me. Okay? Therefore, what is important above all, what is the... Okay, so he puts a comma and then he adds a little supplemental in the middle there. So listen to this sentence. Therefore, what is important above all, what is the correct sense of purpose in life, is to accumulate treasures of the heart. So it is your behavior as a human being when you finally grow up and become an adult. Respond to others with sincerity. Going back to the Gosho, second column, page 196. The worthy man Confucius held to his belief 9 thoughts to 1 word, which means that he reconsidered 9 times before he spoke. 10, the Duke of Chao was so earnest in receiving callers that he would wring out his hair 3 times in the course of washing it, or spit out his food 3 times in the course of a meal in order to keep them from waiting. Consider this carefully so that you will have no cause to reproach me later. What is called Buddhism is found in this behavior. That's a pretty powerful sentence. What is called Buddhism is found in this behavior. So it's not just all tranquility, ashram, happiness. It's samurai, skills in battling devilish functions, defeating them, and showing others how to manifest that same life state. Okay, it's not being all chill out just for you. All right? Buddhism does not exist apart from the realities of life. Nichiren Daishonin was extremely concerned about Kingo's volatile temperament, saying that he would like to relate an incident that is customarily kept secret. He shares with his disciple the story of the irascible Emperor Shishun. We read the whole Gosho, so you already know that story about poking the pig in the eyes or whatever. It is a lesson about what can happen when one openly displays antipathy towards others. Next, Nichiren mentions the great Chinese philosopher Confucius, who chose his words with such care that he thought 9 times before speaking. And he refers to the Duke of Chao in ancient China, who was so concerned not to keep his guests waiting that he would even interrupt his meals or bath time to receive them. Through these examples, Nichiren underscores the need for prudent thought and sincere conduct in our interactions with others. Pardon me. Consider this carefully, he says, seeking to deeply impress this message on Kingo. He sensed that his disciple wouldn't achieve true victory in life if he did not overcome his short temper, a flaw that could bring about his downfall, and did not earnestly accumulate treasures of the heart. Nichiren goes so far as to say, what is called Buddhism is found in this behavior. Buddhism finds ultimate expression in our behavior as human beings. Both Confucius and the Duke of Chao demonstrated their personal philosophy and creed through their actions. Likewise, unless our conduct displays the supreme treasure of the heart expounded in Buddhism, the Buddha nature manifesting itself from within, we cannot show actual proof of the power of faith or spread Buddhism. We don't become examples of the protection from without that manifests from within, showing itself on the outside. That's why Nichiren at the end of this writing discusses the importance of our behavior as human beings. Top of page 197. Our behavior as human beings. From the Gosho. The heart of the Buddha's lifetime of teachings is the Lotus Sutra, and the heart of the practice of the Lotus Sutra is found in the Never Disparaging chapter. What does Bodhisattva Never Disparaging's profound respect for people signify? The purpose of the appearance in this world of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings, lies in his behavior as a human being. Respectfully, the wise may be called human, but the thoughtless are no more than animals. That's the end of the Gosho. Continuing with the balance of the lecture. 2 more pages. In concluding the 3 kinds of treasure, Nichiren Daishonin states that the Lotus Sutra is the heart of Shakyamuni's lifetime teachings. He says that the essence of the practice taught in the Lotus Sutra is found in the behavior of Bodhisattva Never Disparaging, who is described in the Sutra chapter that bears his name as staunchly believing in and venerating the Buddha nature of all people. Deeply apprehending the truth that, when viewed from the fundamental perspective of life, everyone is a Buddha, Bodhisattva Never Disparaging bowed in reverence to all he met, no matter how he was persecuted and attacked. This is the behavior of one who truly embodies the spirit of the Lotus Sutra. Top of page 198. It is said that the Lotus Sutra explains why Shakyamuni made his appearance in this world. Describing the practice of Bodhisattva Never Disparaging, who embodies the Sutra's spirit, it indicates that the purpose of Shakyamuni's appearance in this world lies in his behavior as a human being. As Nichiren notes when he says, the law does not spread by itself, because people propagate it, both people and the law are respect-worthy. The greatness of the law or teaching can only be conveyed and spread when expressed in the humanistic actions and behavior of those who embrace it. What did that just say? We're the ones that do Kosen Rufu. We're the ones that pacify the land. Okay? We're the ones that create the land of eternally tranquil light through our behavior as common mortals living in the 9 worlds, behaving with the inherent nature that exists hidden in everyone. Do you understand? Okay, so the treasures of the heart may be invisible to the eye, but when these inner treasures are given concrete expression as respectful actions toward others, they demonstrate and prove to others the power of the mystic law and the Buddha nature. Viewing treasures of the heart as the most valuable of all reflects a sense of values concerned with what is most important and precious in life. Fulfilling your vow as a bodhisattva of the earth. Manifesting Buddhahood in your present form. Showing respect to others in our actions, meanwhile, constitutes the standard for our behavior as Buddhists based on this sense of values. Because if you are the Buddha, you're going to behave that way. The universally respectful behavior of Bodhisattva Never Disparaging embodies the teaching of the Lotus Sutra, which expounds the Buddha's true intent of enabling all people to realize their enlightenment. Therefore, Bodhisattva Never Disparaging's respectful behavior toward others is itself the true intent of the Buddha. The ability to manifest our Buddha nature is a benefit of faith in the mystic law. The behavior of those who embody this benefit, which is sure to be characterized by respect for others, can serve as actual proof of the greatness of the mystic law. Let us now reconfirm, based on the sutra, how Bodhisattva Never Disparaging, Shakyamuni in a previous lifetime, let's not forget, that's what the sutra says that Bodhisattva Never Disparaging was Shakyamuni, one of Shakyamuni's identities from previous lifetimes, lived in a way that was always respectful to others. At the start of Bodhisattva Never Disparaging, the 20th chapter of Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni explains the principle that those who slander the sutra will incur severe retribution for their offense, while those who are slandered on account of upholding the sutra will gain the benefit of the purification of the 6 sense organs. And what's that do? What's the purification of the 6 sense organs do? According as the same, the earth trembled in 6 different ways. It says you have now become capable of being the Buddha. All right? As an example, he introduced the practice of Bodhisattva Never Disparaging, who appeared in the middle day of the law after the death of a Buddha called Awesome Sound King. It was an age when arrogant monks held great power and the correct teaching was in decline. At that time, Bodhisattva Never Disparaging would bow in reverence to the 4 kinds of believers of the day, monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen, who were overbearingly arrogant, saying to them, I have profound reverence for you. I would never dare treat you with disparagement or arrogance. Why? Because you will all practice the Bodhisattva way and will then be able to attain Buddhahood. This declaration concisely expresses the core Lotus Sutra teaching that all people can attain enlightenment and is called the 24-character Lotus Sutra, in reference to the number of Chinese characters that make up this passage. Bodhisattva Never Disparaging's practice solely consisted of bowing to others in reverence and greeting them with these words. The 4 kinds of believers, which are? What are the 4 kinds of believers? Because it says it all the time. You need to memorize what that expresses. And why it's important. Who are the 4 kinds of believers? Nuns, lay women, and laymen. In other words, religious and non-religious people. Everybody. Okay? The 4 kinds of believers, however, so just because they're wearing a robe and a surplice and all that, they're still one of the 4 kinds. The 4 kinds of believers, however, being filled with arrogance and contempt, responded to his sincerity with curses and abuse. That would have been my response, probably. Some even beating him with sticks or pelting him with stones. Through enduring these persecutions, Never Disparaging could wipe out his offenses and transform his karma, because he made the cause to. Okay? The sutra relates how, as he was nearing death, he heard in the air countless verses of the Lotus Sutra that had previously been preached by the Buddha Awesome Sound King. In hearing these verses, he gained the benefit of the purification of the six sense organs, extended his life by 210,000 million nayutas of years, which is a very, 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 very long time, and continued widely preaching the Lotus Sutra for others. He then attained Buddhahood and was reborn as Shakyamuni. In contrast, he then attained Buddhahood and was reborn as Shakyamuni. Anybody catch anything there? The Lotus Sutra says this. Okay? Let me read that again, because this is too important for you not to hear. Through enduring these persecutions, Never Disparaging, which is Shakyamuni in a previous lifetime, could wipe out his offenses and transform his karma. The sutra relates how, as he was nearing death, he heard in the air countless verses of the Lotus Sutra that had previously been preached by Buddha Awesome Sound King. In hearing these verses, he gained the benefit of the purification of the 6 sense organs, which means he became capable of attaining Buddhahood, and extended his life by a tremendous lifespan time, and continued widely preaching the Lotus Sutra for others. He then attained Buddhahood and was reborn as Shakyamuni. He's not the original teacher. He's not the original teacher. That's my point. That's what that paragraph reveals, that truth, as do many others. But that's one of them. Okay? All right?
Okay.
In contrast, the 4 kinds of believers who had persecuted Bodhisattva Never Disparaging underwent great suffering for the immensely long period of 1,000 kalpas as a result of these offenses. And when they had expiated their offenses, they again encountered Bodhisattva Never Disparaging and received his instruction. In this way, steadfastly showing respect for others through our behavior has the power to change our lives by transforming our karma and purifying our senses, which is the attainment of Buddhahood, and by respectfully sharing the teachings of the Lotus Sutra with others, or activating our Buddha nature, I should say more precisely, and by respectfully sharing the teachings of the Lotus Sutra with others, as long as we live, we can achieve the fundamental victory of realizing our Buddhahood. Such actions are based on a firm commitment to the principle that all people possess the Buddha nature. We reject no one. We help everyone. By holding fast to this commitment, even in the face of hardships, because that's going to be difficult to do, we can embody this principle in our lives. If we do that, we will be embodying that principle in our lives. As such, our efforts are part of our own Buddhist practice for attaining Buddhahood. It may seem like we're doing things for other people or going through shit for the sake of trying to help other people, but in reality, who we're really helping is us. All right? In addition, they are part of the struggle to lead all people to enlightenment by brightly illuminating even the lives of those who slander and harass the practitioners of the correct teaching and awakening the Buddha nature dormant in the depths of their lives. In short, Bodhisattva never disparaging's actions of respect for others constitute the fundamental cause. The fundamental cause. So what's that mean? The baseline cause that creates this circumstance. In short, Bodhisattva never disparaging's actions of respect for others constitute the fundamental cause for manifesting our Buddhahood. Such actions are crucial if we hope to gain enlightenment, real enlightenment. The aspiration of leading all people to enlightenment would just be a pipe dream unless the Buddha taught the importance of our behavior as human beings. Because we're supposed to be doing Kosen Rufa. That means we're going to have to win over a whole shitload of other people that believe in different things. So our behavior and what makes us separated from them based on how we behave and how we act and who we are as people. That's what's going to allow Kosen Rufa to actually occur. It's not happy talk. It's not being great salespeople or knowing all the right shit to say. Okay? It's them going, whoa, dude, I want some of what you got. Okay? That comes from how you behave. The aspiration of leading all people to enlightenment would just be a pipe dream unless the Buddha taught the importance of our behavior as human beings. That is why Nichiren asserts that this is the purpose of the appearance in this world of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings. Nichiren also always demonstrated respect for others through his actions. The Buddha nature will manifest in the lives of those who arouse and maintain faith in the mystic law, no matter how evil the times. Their behavior will definitely pulse with the fundamental wisdom of the practical philosophy of respect for others. And then he's going to put a caveat on this. Because respect for others doesn't mean kissing their ass and being all gentle and shit. Okay? Or letting they say when they're wrong pass and not correcting them. That's quite the opposite, actually. All right? So now he's going to go into the truth. This isn't ashram peace of mind shit. Okay? This is understanding the correct teaching and behaving accordingly. Nichiren's practice of Shakubuku, of rigorously refuting error, is also grounded in compassion for the individual in error and concern for the happiness of the people. It is also an expression of his fervent wish for the peace and security of the land. Because if you don't remonstrate with them and correct them, they're going to continue to do the things that are keeping them from being what they want to be at the core of their lives, which is happy and fulfilled. Buddhist. Shakubuku is a struggle to refute the erroneous and reveal the true out of respect for everyone's Buddha nature. So it's not about wanting to be right. It's correcting error. All right? Because Shakubuku in Nichiren Buddhism is based on respect for others, because that's how we should do it. We're not doing it to put them down. We're doing it to eliminate their ignorance. It aims to refute the error of those who disrespect others, because they're all disrespecting. Okay? Premised on this understanding, Nichiren indicates that even in the evil and slanderous age of the latter day, we need to act prudently and respectfully rather than simply rushing in to refute error. Fully and unequivocally stating the truth is also Shakubuku. Fully and unequivocally stating the truth is also Shakubuku. But how can you do that? There's only one way you can do that. Faith, practice, and study. And study. And study. The latter day of the law is an age rife with distrust and fear stemming from a society in which people are not respected and life is held in low regard. You know, people get murdered all the time. The head of countries, you know, have totalitarian governments. They imprison and kill people that don't agree with them or that pose threats to them. You know, in almost every society on earth, there are levels of who's considered better than the other. We judge people based on skin color. We judge people based on ethnicity and sex.
And bank account.
And bank accounts, all kinds of bullshit. Okay? So he says, fully and unequivocally stating the truth is also Shakubuku. The latter day of the law is an age rife with distrust and fear stemming from a fear in society in which people are not respected and life is held in low regard. In such an age, Shakubuku means standing up alone. So do we need to be doing this with somebody else to do it? No. You can do it alone. If you have the resolute spirit and the balls to do it, stand up and be it. All right? And once you be it, you are it. That's all there is to are it, is being it. All right? Shakubuku means standing up alone and resolutely holding high the banner of respect for human beings and the sanctity of life. And that's included in doing Shakubuku and refuting error. This too is the courageous practice of Shakubuku. As I am always affirming, resolving the various problems of our planet in the 21st century will hinge on focusing on the human being. This is an awareness shared by many leading intellects, peace activists, and conscientious political leaders. How do we transform people's inherent fundamental darkness? How do we expand the solidarity of those dedicated to the cause of good? And how do we construct a society in which harmonious coexistence and humanism prevail? The SGI is taking action to pioneer a magnificent path of intercultural and interfaith dialogue toward finding answers to those very questions, transcending all differences, because that's what that whole point of having those dialogues is. Okay? It's not saying I have my beliefs and I'm right, and you have your beliefs and you're screwed. I did it again. And I'm so sorry. All right? It's not about that. It's about perceiving other people from the mind of the Buddha and understanding how you can affect them in a way to bring them over to the side of the perception of the truth as it actually exists. Okay? That there's no difference between any of us. We all suffer from the same things that make one unhappy, and we all benefit from the same things that make one happy. Okay? That's the whole point. The SGI is taking action to pioneer a magnificent path of intercultural, interfaith dialogue, which goes against Nietzsche and Shoshu's tenets, and is really reflective of the Buddhism of the Sun, as is being taught by Daisaku Ikeda and has been practiced by the first three presidents of the SGI, toward finding answers to those very questions, transcending all differences, surmounting barriers of ethnicity and nationality. We are constructing a realm of broad and open exchange among human beings. The philosophy of the SGI is based on the Lotus Sutra's teaching of showing respect for others through our actions, as well as the principle that all change begins from within ourselves and from accumulating treasures of the heart. People around the world have high expectations of the SGI's humanistic philosophy. Our efforts in undergoing our human revolution provide hope to humankind. We have now entered an age when the sincere endeavors of our members who are putting into practice the humanistic behavior taught by Nietzsche and Daishonin are winning trust and understanding on a global scale. And I'm sure that Sling will keep everybody in the Facebook appraised of when the next get-together will be. It'll be as soon as possible. Okay, but it won't be next week. All right, I can assure you that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this. This was a great 4 Osho lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.